Hello, everybody, and welcome to Women Crushing It Wednesdays. We have our girls here ready to go, and we have a co-host, D Styles, and I believe G Funky's going to be joining us. D Styles having some technical difficulties, but that's okay. We're just going to roll with the punches, as we say in boxing. How you ladies doing
Mhm.
tonight?
Pretty good,
Good.
pretty good.
Yeah, we have
Exciting.
so much to talk about. There has been so much going on. It seems like every week there is something, like absolutely something.
I was gonna
Nika,
say
what's
music.
going on in
Music.
boxing world? What's the
Everything.
deal?
Everything's going on in the boxing world. I don't know. I don't know if you have a list and we're gonna just go down the list, but there's
Well, we
definitely
know, we know, we know what we're going to talk about. But I mean, we got our subjects, and we're going to definitely talk about the Serrano fight, the controversy, her coach. Later on, we're going to definitely talk about Zapata and how she's doing, and
the
then we
T,
have
the Oscar
the
Valdez and the T.
tea. We got the tea, but
Yeah.
there's just so much. Is there anything else that's going on that we're missing?
Well, those are the hot topics right now. The
Exactly.
Oscar Valdez is the latest one, so definitely gotta talk about that.
Oh, we have G Funky in the house. G Funky, how you
G
doing?
Funky.
Hey, what's going on? How's everybody doing?
We're
All
doing
right,
Hey, how's
everybody.
everybody?
great.
How's
It
everybody?
looks like a funeral tonight. Everybody's in black.
Well, I don't know. It's I was plugging in the cord on the wrong aux cord, so it is
Yeah,
what
but
it
we
is.
hear you now. Yeah.
Man, you know what? And
That-
we have our men co-host tonight because we want to show everybody that we're equal opportunity.
yeah, exactly.
So we're not sexist at all. So we've got our
That's right.
hostesses and our co-hosts. We've got D Style and G Funky in the house, and I thank y'all so much for coming. And we have so much to talk about. We were just talking about it right now. So the first thing that we want to just totally jump on is the Serrano controversy, because we're going to have a guest that's going to actually um, defend some of the things
Oh, I
that
don't know what this.
Jordan Maldonado was saying, because he had a conversation with him, and he said that his side is totally different than what is portrayed in the media. And he'll be joining us in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
What do you guys have to say about that? G Funky, what did you think about the coach's comments and the things that were in social media?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And I did talk about this a little bit on my show Monday night, where here's the thing. I understand that in competition, right? Because I competed in sports in high school. I understand that there's a level of trash talk, in between the game or whatever it is that you're doing. So as long as it stays within that realm, I'm okay with that. I have no issue with that. Now, the alleged part that to me seems really out of line is him continuing to do it while she's being, led on a stretcher into an ambulance. Like,
Right.
to me, it's got to stop. Like right there in the ring. Like your fighter won, and won convincingly. So you guys have the right to say, to talk a little bit of trash. Like I'm good with that, but to continue to do it, and not only that, like, to me, it's just wrong for a guy to do that to a woman. And Christine, you've been on a show with us before when we were talking about women's boxing, about how, for me myself, it was kind of hard for me to come around with women's boxing because I was always raised to protect women.
Right.
So it's
Right.
hard for me to see them fighting and stuff like that. Like
Right.
I was
Right.
always taught to protect the women. Like, there's something's going to happen. No, I'm going to step in. I'm going to take care of it. You know. So to hear something like that, like, to me, that's just not okay. Now, again, if this is all alleged, because there's no footage of that, there's nothing. It's just from what one side is saying. And now, if that's true, that's definitely not what you should be doing. It's very low class if that's the case. But as long as it stays inside of the competition in the ring and all that, like, I'm okay with the trash talk. I'm good with that.
Well, yeah, and to your point, so we as women have been fighting for a long time for equality in boxing. But there is no doubt that we're not the same as far as emotions, physical attributes. so on and so forth. We both work hard, men and women alike. We work hard. We get in there. We have wars with equal competition to our level, to what our gender is, and to everything else in our experience. So when people say, I've heard also people say, oh, well, you know, if that was said to a male fighter or whatever, it would have been different. Well, maybe so, but we're different. We're different, but we're the same. And so for me, I think that it was allegedly the things that he said were out of line, and maybe a man could have taken it. I don't know. Uh, uh, but G Funky, I mean D Styles, what do you think? I mean, what did you think about the things that were allegedly said?
Well, I mean, look, I did hear some of the things that were said. I mean, they were caught on camera. You know what I mean? It's not like you could say the media this, the media that, and you could say whatever you want, right? But at the end of the day, it was caught on camera. He was mocking her right after the fight. He was saying she didn't fight Mexican style. You know, it's interesting to me how non-Mexicans want to tell Mexicans how to fight. That's always been very interesting to me, which is why I found it interesting when Golovkin backed up from Canelo in the rematch after he talked all that shit in the first fight. Okay, about how he backed up and didn't fight Mexican. You know, but that aside, I get, look, I really don't have an issue with, like G Funky said, with someone trash talking because you're already like fighting each other. But like, calm down, dude. Like, you're the trainer. Okay.
Right.
I don't even think there's really a woman element to this. I honestly think like any trainer would have been called out for talking shit to a fighter after a fight. You know what I mean? Like that just, because that was just stupid to me. And then not only that, I mean, she's half your size. You're walking across the ring to talk to her and stuff. When this is not a fighter, by the way, that was talking trash. This was not a fighter that was talking, you know, mean-spirited things. She didn't shove. There wasn't even any shoving or anything like that on the lead up to this fight. I mean, I don't understand why anybody would justify what this trainer did. I'm interested to hear his quote unquote side of the story. I want to know what this woman half his size did to him that will justify the things he was saying. Now, look, allegedly, as you said, right? That's the word of the day. So when she's in the ambulance, like if it's true that it was talking shit to her while she's in the ambulance, just the optics of that is absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. And you have to be a jackass, if it's true, to be completely okay with that. You just have to.
Absolutely. Esmeralda, what say you about all this stuff that's being allegedly, and then the stuff that we've seen said? I mean, is there anything that the other side could possibly say to forgive or justify what was said?
I mean, we'll hear Angel's side of the story. From what I know, and I spoke to Mario Mendoza last night. He's a friend of mine and my husband's, and we've seen him with the amateurs. We've seen him get robbed from amateur belts at tournaments. We've seen his pros fight and get robbed as well. And never has he reacted in a manner that would affect Jackie Nava's brand. And from what he told me, he said this is so much drama, there's so much stuff that was created from it. He said, all I can say is we went. He's like, from the moment we arrived in the hotel, because they were all placed in the same hotel. He said there was an intimidation factor from them. He said there was a lot of arrogance. They came in, they looked past us. He's like, there was no respect whatsoever, a lot of disrespect. He said, and we chose to just eat our words, to just keep it, not say anything, not feed into it, and focus on Yamil's fight and make sure that she was mentally and emotionally ready to go in there and have the support of her team. But like I said, we've seen that man in some really bad situations down here in Tijuana, and he's never reacted like that. So to see him in the ring when Jordan was doing those things and see how he was so aggressive, like it angered me, because that man is just such a nice man, and he supports the amateurs, the pros, everything. And it had to have been something that really triggered him for him to react.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate. So it's like part of boxing is definitely mental. Like you get into your opponent's head, into the whole team's head. You know, you try to like cast a shadow of doubt, you know, and they start questioning themselves. Did they do enough? Did they not? Whatever. So let's just say that was the game plan. We're going to cast a shadow of doubt. We're going to make them doubt themselves. We're going to say these things. We're going to do what we got to do to win the fight. What do you say about that, Nika? What do you say about that part of the game? And do you think that that's what they were doing?
Well, I'm all for shit talking. I like that, but there's shit talking, and then there's like poor sportsmanship, and I believe that's what he displayed, poor sportsmanship. Um, Something in me just feels like he's living vicariously through Amanda. I don't know if he's like a former fighter or something, and it didn't pan out for him, and so he's living through her. So he's just like, hey, get something in, get some in him. He has to like talk the shit that he would talk if he was a fighter. Like
It's a lot of
what
those
it looks
guys.
like. Yeah,
A
so I
lot.
feel like he's living
Yeah, we
vicariously
definitely
through
gotta
her,
get back to
and something jumped in his spirit and took over, like if he was the fighter. So it's just all, to me, it's poor sportsmanship all around. Like you won
so
already, so all that was not necessary. So I don't know his
right,
background
all
as
that
far
extra
as
stuff.
yeah, I don't know his background as far as like, was he a former fighter or something like that?
Supposedly he was a Golden Gloves champion. I'm assuming
Well,
amateurs,
yeah,
but
Golden Gloves. Golden Gloves. So, what do you do?
Eh,
I mean, no
okay,
disrespect.
yeah,
Some
but
of my kids have Golden Gloves champion. Some of my fighters, it is what it
mhm.
is. Respect to him.
But he's never been a
Are
pro, right? He's
right,
got
right.
okay.
So, if somebody will read Lee Grove's comment, and I'm going to add our special guest, Angel David Castro.
Hey guys,
Angel, how are you tonight?
it's all good. It's all good. Thank you for having me.
You're
Angel.
so welcome. You're so welcome. The panel is glad to see you. We just started the intro, and we were just kind of talking about the Serrano controversy. And you and I had a conversation, and you said that you had actually talked to Jordan, and you just kind of wanted to tell his side of the story, and we totally respect that, and we want to
Mhm.
hear what you have to say.
Ready
Definitely.
for
Yeah,
this
What do
heat,
you have
man.
to say?
yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. For those of you that don't know, I have a podcast called El Pugilato, which is mostly in Spanish, unless I have someone that doesn't feel too comfortable in English. Like I've had Christine on, and I've had other people that speak English, so we do it too. Doesn't matter. We don't discriminate. So
Called her out for not speaking Spanish.
so
I know.
this is what's going on. Allegedly, I don't know. This comes from the Serrano team. So the corner that cornered, obviously, Mercado, Yamile Mercado, who had an awesome performance, is this Mexican Jackie Navas's corner. Jackie Navas's team. That's confirmed, right?
her husband.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is the team that Jackie Nava works with. So
No, it is. It's her husband, Mario. Yeah.
it is
He
okay.
coached Mercado for this fight.
Okay, perfect. So per Jordan Maldonado, who I asked to do an interview, he's still, they're still thinking if they want to do it or not. I'm open to whatever they want to do. I'll tell everybody's side of the story. So there was allegedly some beef between the Jackie Nava team and the Serrano team. Allegedly, there has been a lot of discrediting, if that's a word, of attempts to discredit whatever Amanda's accomplishments are from the Jackie Nava team. It's been documented on social media and on other platforms. So, but these two teams have never had the opportunity to face each other, to actually be in the same place at the same time, as far as I know, unless one of you guys has other information. I don't. Apparently, this was the first time the Serrano corner and the Jackie Nava team, who was Jamilet Mercado's team this time, it was the first time they ever met physically. And some people like to talk on social media, and they leave it at that. Some people don't. some people have receipts, and some people are, I don't know, realer than others. And apparently, Mr. Maldonado never forgot, and he was not too fond of whatever that team said in past occasions, and he let them know every time a round ended. He let them know what was going on and how much that hurt. And I understand how it looks. I don't like it. I wouldn't have done it. Huge guy with tattoos screaming at a young girl boxing and her corner. It's not a good look. But at the end of the day, some people handle social media beef, let's say, different than other people. That's what I can see.
Go ahead, please.
Well, I mean, because the fight in the ring was Mercado. Did she ever allegedly say anything about Serrano and her accomplishments?
Not that I know of. What she did say, allegedly, per a couple of articles from some Mexican platforms, some platforms that cover boxing, she did say a couple of times that if Amanda Serrano is the Manny Pacquiao of women's boxing, talking about all the different divisions that she's won, then I will be Juan Manuel Marquez, meaning that I will put her to sleep. And
I mean, but that's just like regular.
Yeah.
That's
That's boxing bickering, right?
Yeah, so come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, trash talk like in any
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah, that's boxing bickering. I agree. Per the Serrano
That
corner.
can also be interpreted as I'm going to be her rival, though, because it took him like 4 fights to knock him out. It's not like he knocked him out the first time.
True. That could be interpreted like that too. But Mr. Maldonado did not interpret it that way. He interpreted it like we're going to have a war and you're going to try to knock my fighter out. My fighter's going to try to knock your fighter out. And that neither happened. Nobody got knocked out. And apparently the Serrano camp was disappointed that said fighter, Miss Mercado, did not fight as a Mexican traditional fighter. And that was the whole, what was being screamed in between rounds. Saca huevos, you're a Mexican fighter.
What's interesting about that is Marquez doesn't fight that way. He doesn't come forward. And so if she says she's going to be the Marquez, then the aggressor had to be Amanda in that case. So I think he needs to kind of maybe analyze what he said a little bit, in my opinion.
So,
And Esmeralda, you know the other side very well. What do you have to say about some of the things that are being talked about right now?
I mean, like I said, Jackie Nava has a brand. She's established. Her husband doesn't do anything that will taint her brand because they have a gym and they not only work with the Comité de Box Amateur in Tijuana, but they have pros. They have everything. So I've seen him in horrible situations where I just look at his face and he's like, and he calms his fighter down. He's like, it's okay. It's okay. So he's a man that reacts. So something has to be done for him to react. And in regards to, obviously there was something said online, before this from allegedly Jackie Nava's team towards Serrano. So was the same done when when Serrano fought the Argentinian in Puerto Rico and he got suspended from the association? Was there also beef there because of social media?
No, that was
situation?
as far as I know, it was 2-3 rounds in a row that Amanda was being headbutted, and he says, Mr. Maldonado says that he told the ref the first time, "Hey man, just look at the headbutt, good." He said it a couple more times, and then the last time he said it to the ref said, "You do your job, I'll do my job." And then the gentleman, Mr. Maldonado, did not react in a politically correct way, and he was thrown out of the corner.
Because there were, allegedly, what's her name? Daniela Romina, what is it?
Bermudez.
Allegedly, from also hearing and from when it happened, is that things were also offensive and said to her. So, I mean, is it just an opponent's thing? Like, you're from Mexico, I'm going to go against you. You're from Argentina, I'm going to go against you. Or is there really something behind it? Because it seems to be like this is what he just normally does. I mean, to go to where you're from in Puerto Rico and get suspended. If I know anybody that comes to that is from Mexico and they get their license taken away, they get suspended. That's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, we could
embarrassing.
We could say that Serrano is from Puerto Rico, but at the end of the day,
but Jordan is, right?
And Jordan, yeah, we could say that both of them are, but at the end of the day, the support or recognition that Puerto Rico gives the Serrano team, it's me and 3 other people, maybe.
I'm gonna say real quick. We have a comment. I thought this was Women Crushing It Wednesday. Why the 3 males? So we do.
But you're
crush it.
beautiful. What's he talking about?
This
We're
is a
Right,
beautiful.
right.
women's show.
He's just mad he wasn't invited. That's all.
Our male.
Shout out to you,
He's a
Arya.
troll. He's a troll. He's
We're
a
not
troll.
sexist.
Don't even
We're
answer.
definitely not
I'm a
sexist.
BBM,
Don't
beautiful bald man.
For equal opportunity, most definitely. You know, there was an article that came out today in Ring Magazine. I'm not sure if everybody was able to read that or not.
Great
It
article.
was very telling. It was very
Well written.
telling and well written, absolutely. And it does put a different light on Maldonado. And all these are allegations and some arrests. And it just said that it was talking about, you know, the things he was saying come to this young lady, come to the middle of the ring, calling her trash, pendeja, and this and that. And, you know, the thing is, yes, trash talk, yes. I could see the Pacquiao and the Marquez talk. That it is what it is. To me, that's boxing talk. But when you start like really going after someone's character or their heritage, where they come from, I just think that she's not the only one. There's a lot of Mexican Americans or Mexicans that are watching the fight. And we had just talked about this on the show before, how Amanda, to me, like she's the GOAT. I mean, she's accomplished so much. You know, she's done amazing things. You cannot take that away from her. Like, it's there. They can say whatever they want to say, but the writing is there. It's there. Her accomplishments are there. But to attack someone in the manner that allegedly her opponent was attacked, to me, that puts everything on a whole different perspective, because then you lose your Mexican fans that were once saying, you know what, even though she's fighting this Mexican woman, I'm still going for Amanda because she's the better fighter and the more accomplished. And she's always been humble in the past, you know, to my recollection. Do y'all agree with that? I mean,
Well, yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look, I actually saw a live from Mercado yesterday afternoon. My internal clock's all over the place because of my current shift at work, but somewhere around the day yesterday, I watched it, and she did say, I mean, she did come out and say that Amanda had nothing to do with this, that she doesn't blame her for anything, and she actually asked people to stop like going at her and saying, hey, well, why you know,
Wow.
why were you disrespectful to her? So she did ask people to stop like attacking Amanda, in fairness. So
That's cool.
I mean, she called Amanda
Yeah.
Adama, and Adama means like a classy lady, like a
Mhm,
lady that's
mhm.
sophisticated. And when I read that, I was like, oh, you know, that's definitely true.
Yeah, I
just
haven't
want to
seen
read,
anything.
tweet his chat really quick, because today is Eric Morales' birthday. Jamel
Yes,
Herring said Eric Morales didn't brawl all the damn time.
Mm-hmm.
Dude could box his ass off. He just had the heart to dig deep. Actually, fun fact, Eric only brawled when he really disliked his opponent. So there had to be a very personal dislike for him to really give that
Hey,
brawl.
when Southpaw
Didn't
gets
happen
Pacquiao in the first fight, right? Last
Yeah,
round.
12th round.
And you know, and then we think about, you know, I'm going to go around because I want to know, what is the definition of Mexican style? I want to know y'all's definition. When people say, "Oh, Mexican style," what is that? Nika, what is the definition in your mind when people say Mexican style?
Well, when I hear people say that, what I think for myself, in my opinion, Nika's opinion, is like they don't give up. They go to toe. They're warriors. You know, they're gonna just be going at it, like, you know, toe to toe. That's what I feel like is Mexican style, like just you know, head to head, not gonna back down. You know, not backing up, like that is just, it's just like
just going forward.
Mexican brawler. I feel like a brawler. That's what I think when I hear Mexican style, and that's pretty much most Mexican fighters. They fight like that. That's just what it is. And I felt like the Mercado exhibited that. Like, I don't really know. I just feel like, what's your name again? Alex? Was it Alex?
Me, Angel.
Angel. Sorry, Angel. When you spoke to Maldonado, did he give you? Did he say, "Hey, speak up for me"? Like, or like, are you just here to defend him because you feel like this is your friend and you want to like speak for him, or like he told you things that you feel
No,
like you need to speak up for him? Because
no,
I really feel like I want to ask you a question about like his background. Was he like
yeah, for sure.
was he like a boxer that was gonna become a pro and it didn't work out?
I
Because I
don't
feel like he's
think.
living vicariously through Amanda, and like something in him just jumped in his spirit, and he just like started talking like he was a boxer in the ring. And I'm just being honest. That's
Yeah.
just how it looked to me.
I don't think so. I don't think he was gonna go pro. Not that I remember. He did have an amateur career, but he had brothers, as far as I know, that had longer careers than he ever had, actually. So that wasn't his interest as far as I know.
So he always wanted to be a trainer, like.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was training since he was very young.
And Angel,
But you
whenever
know, like. No, I seen him in some of the brawls that were like in the middle, like for the fight for Jake Paul and the main event when they were fighting for that little situation with the mother
Tyron Woodley.
of Jake Paul's opponent.
Oh, okay.
Maldonado was right in the middle of that too. I don't know if y'all saw those videos, but Maldonado was right there in the middle of that, ready to fight people too. And I was like, what is he even doing in that fight? That has nothing to do with him. He was right there front and center, ready to
fight. He wants to be part of it.
I mean, it's sometimes it's
so
sometimes
I feel like
that's fun.
That's just in him. Like
that's in him.
That's a great point. And then somebody in the chat on Facebook said, does he have steroid rage? I mean, Angel, in the past, he was allegedly.
No, he said I had a full like 2-hour conversation with him last year, like on the podcast we touched on those subjects. So it's not allegedly, like he did go to jail.
He did go to jail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to make a quick comment about that.
Absolutely.
Because I've done a little research on steroids. Now, I think that the predetermined notion when it comes to roid rage and things like that is that if you just take steroids, all of a sudden you're just going to be like, oh, God, and just be angry and want to fight people. Like that's not how it works. Like, basically what it is like this. If you were a jerk before you started taking steroids and then you start taking steroids, you're going to be like a jerk times 2, 3. Like it doesn't just automatically turn you in to somebody that rages. Like that's already had to be something already there. You know what I'm saying? At least from the studies that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's happened to wrestlers and even like MMA fighters, boxers, wrestlers.
Very short tempers.
I don't know anything about roid rage. I know about road rage. That problem.
I've had plenty of that. I'm a driver for a living. I've had plenty of that.
If I can just say this,
the bottom line is that I want to ask you all, and I'm gonna start with Esmeralda, and we're gonna go around, and then Dstyles. So, is Serrano's coach?
Okay, can I comment about the Mexican style real quick? Because we didn't quite.
Absolutely. I'm a woman. I'm all over the place. We talk.
Yeah, I just want to say. So
he's like,
if you look at,
skipped me. You skipped me.
Yeah. I'm gonna raise my hand in elementary school. Like me. If you look at Julio Cesar Chavez, Carlos Zarate, Ruben Olivares, Juan Manuel Marquez, Eric Morales, Marco Antonio Barrera. All those guys, none of them fight alike. And they're all Mexican greats. Nothing alike. They don't throw the jab alike. They don't set up punches the same. They have different types of feints. You could put Canelo in the mix as well. You could box on his back foot, front foot. So what is Mexican style? Like, to be honest with you, I blame Larry Merchant for this. Okay? So back in HBO, like he gave people this perception. On Legendary Nights, Taylor versus Chavez, he told people, Chavez is the guy that'll take 2 to land 1. That's not even true. That was true against Taylor, who has the fastest hands I ever seen, right? But that's not how he fought. Like, that's just not a thing. And it kind of just carried over from there. You know what I mean? And then Golovkin kind of started marketing it like, I box Mexican style. Yes. Right? So he became a thing, Spanish. Right. So all I got to say is I think because Mexico is such a powerhouse in boxing, right? I mean, we're like the Russians in figure skating, you know, when it comes to boxing. Like we're a powerhouse. And because of that, we know of a lot of tough Mexicans in the history of boxing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think people just have that perception that they fight toe to toe, right? And there is Mexicans that fight toe to toe, but this idea, I think when people think Mexican style, they think Margarito, Angulo, and the way those guys fight. And they think every Mexican fights that way. It's just not
Right.
true. You know, it's,
Yeah.
it's what I think.
I
Brandon
agree,
Reed,
man. And
Mike Colorado.
you remember D-Style when we first started doing shows together? We did a list of the top 11 Mexican fighters of all time. Now, I'm not saying him and I are experts or historians or anything like that, but like I think if you asked any historian or a boxing writer to make a list, the top 10 and some of the best Mexican fighters wouldn't be this kind of take 2 or 3 to land one, like Larry Merchant would say. Like that's just not the case. I mean,
Right.
D-Style and I, we both had Salvador Sanchez as our number one, and he fought nothing like that, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, he had a great fight with Rafael Gomez, the great Puerto Rican fighter, but that was because those are two great fighters, you know.
Which
And
you want.
yeah, and but I mean, if you look at some of his other fights, I mean, the dude could box his ass off. You know, he didn't just stand toe to toe, take 2, 3 to land. You know, that's just not the case. You know.
Absolutely. Esmeralda, what is Mexican style to you? Like what have you grown up knowing Mexican style to be?
I mean, I grew up in the gym seeing Eric Morales, Travieso Arce, Julio Cesar Chavez. So they all, like you guys said, they all just had such a different style. The only thing I know is they never gave up and they did go toe to toe. I also think times have progressed as fighters. Like look at Vaquero, look at Cesar Martinez, you know. People don't want that beat up dented face anymore. They don't want the issues that come from taking all those punches. So I think it's progressed in the sense that it's a little bit smarter now. So it's they still go to toe to toe and they can brawl, but they're also like don't want to get caught with the hits. But I think the biggest thing out of all of it is just not giving up and just not giving up and just you get punched, you take it like a Mexican. You just take it like a warrior.
And as people say, having huevos, you know, right? Am I lying? You know?
There you go.
Angel, when it comes to Puerto Rican style and Mexican style, what's the difference, if there is a difference?
On the popular opinion, let's say most people consider the Mexican style toe to toe. Let's meet in the middle of the ring until one of us drops dead, kind of style. That would be the popular definition. And the Puerto Rican style, not necessarily that way. But we've had fighters like that. We've had fighters that know how to cut off the ring, work the body, like Miguel Cotto, you know. But
Trinidad,
yeah,
My favorite fighter growing up, Trinidad. Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, mine too.
One's not necessarily better than the other. You know, the perception is just different.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take Felix over Miguel any day of the week and twice on
Damn
Sunday.
right. Damn right.
But I'm biased because I was born on that same street that he was born in. I saw him run
Okay.
when I was a boy, so I'm biased. So I can't really, you know, and you know,
I
Felix
don't
embrace
know.
the people.
I don't know if
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
would pick Cotto versus Tito. I wouldn't. But
I've
Nah, I
seen
don't
a
think so.
few. I've seen a few here on YouTube since I've been back,
I
but
don't
I think
know.
they're
Really?
crazy. Tito all day, man. All
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, there's no way. There hasn't been a more beloved Puerto Rican, not just athlete. That is the single most beloved Puerto Rican in the history of the
Absolutely.
island.
I think so too, man. That's one thing that I think kind of captured me was not obviously the knockouts and the knockout power that he possessed was something, but also the charisma that the guy had, you know, was just something else. You know, he was like this. He was the guy. You know.
I agree.
Yep, absolutely. So okay, who's got the good eyes? Lee Groves has something to say.
He said
We had him on the
Mexicans
spot.
epitomize. Yeah, Lee Grove says Mexicans epitomize the intangibles all boxers treasure: courage, aggressiveness, perseverance, and skill. Fighters from other nations aspire to link themselves to it. Gorarovich, the Mexican Russian.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah. Yeah.
Lino's boxing, that's for sure. But I definitely want to get back to the question that I was asking before I skip the other one. Was what has this done to Serrano's brand, if anything? What do you think, Esmeralda? Is this going to tarnish her brand? Like, is this going to tarnish all of her accomplishments? Are they only going to like remember her for what her coach was saying and his crazy antics, as some people say? Do you think it's going to overshadow everything that she's done?
Unfortunately, I think it might have started something because from the article today from the Ring, I mean, the way they worded everything and they talk about, with this continuing because he's known to do it in the past, it's definitely on its way to tarnishing her career and everything that she's built. Personally, I can never support her as a fan. She is talented, I agree. I mean, last week I was agreeing with Christine saying she is the GOAT. I think she's very talented. I think she does have a huge skill. But if she can't tell her trainer to hush, or if she can't, stand up for something, or at least if the beef would have been between her and Mercado, that's something we all enjoy to see, like the two women just going at it. But it wasn't. It was a male towards the female. And as I can't support her and I can't root for her as a fan. And that's a word I don't use loosely. There's probably 7-8 people that I'm a huge fan of, and she's no longer one of them. So I don't know if it will affect for a lot of others, maybe just towards the Mexicans, or, maybe it'll just create more tension. I really don't know. But I think it did open a little can of worms, though, because now more people are going to go into digging up a lot of that drama and seeing what else is back there.
Dstyles, what do you think? Is this going to affect her brand, everything that she's done? Is it going to overshadow all of her accomplishments?
No. I'll say this. While I didn't like what happened, look, outside of hardcore boxing fans, no one knows who she is. More people know who she is now, whether we like it or not, because she was on this event. Right. I know there's a lot of boxing fans don't want to accept the fact that Jake Paul's getting more eyeballs on people, but those are just the facts. Right. And so I don't think it's going to hurt her brand at all. Look, we live in a world now where Conor McGregor could throw a dolly into a freaking bus and cut people, and he gets rewarded with a big fight. You know what I mean? If you remember, I mean, I know it's a different sport, but we're talking about something worse that happened, and in boxing, look, at the end of the day, trash talking happens. If it would have ended there in the ring and it didn't continue allegedly in the ambulance, I don't even think it's that big of a deal, to be honest. But unfortunately, that's what happened. But is it going to affect Amanda? I don't. I don't think it's going to affect her brand. Are there going to be people that say, hey, look, I just can't support her? Probably, but you're still going to watch, I think.
But, right? Living in the world with this next generation and the whole cancel culture, it takes one thing. It takes someone on your team saying something, and then everyone, whether they know boxing, whether they know Amanda or not, is just going to follow in suit and be like, oh, let's cancel this. Let's cancel Amanda Serrano. And then this whole thing is just going to start, and then she's going to be blackballed out of everything. Absolutely. So there's really no way to know, because this next generation just...
I will say, though, sometimes someone's talent could be good enough to where you kind of like, at least me, right? I just have to be like, okay, what happened, but she's that talented that I need to watch, because I'm a fan of boxing. At the end of the day, I'm a fan of what these fighters do in the ring, and she's a phenomenal fighter. So I have to watch.
Well, and I'm going to get to Micah next on her opinion, but I have to ask you this. So she is very talented, and you are a fan, and I think she's very talented too. But who could she possibly fight next? A lot of people say that she's been avoiding Katie Taylor. Her coach said when Katie fought her sister, you fought the wrong Serrano. Is Amanda avoiding Katie? Is she going to fight her soon? And is that the fight? I mean, because honestly, her opposition has not been the best in the past. She is very talented, but to see her against somebody like Katie Taylor is, in my opinion, what I would want to see.
Tremendous fight.
We all want to see that.
Yeah.
Definitely. What didn't the Ring state that she didn't supposedly Amanda wasn't on part with the whole testing before the bout, which is one of the things
I did hear that
caused it to fall off.
I read that too. But the fight previous to that, wasn't it Heather Hardy? Previous to this negotiation, they both got tested before and after the fight.
As much as Heather Hardy has been there since the beginning, was she really a test?
No. Tested, like blood test, like for drugs.
But I mean, as far as like in the ring, would she really be an
Uh,
opposition that we would want to see? And so
No,
let's go back.
no.
Okay, so Nika, is this going
not
to
elite,
affect
not elite.
Amanda's her coach?
You
Has
know.
her coach totally tainted her brand?
I don't think so because we don't harbor on things long. Like so many things happen in boxing that we forget about it the next in 10 minutes. Like right now, people are talking about Oscar Valdez online, so they're not even talking about Maldonado and Amanda
Mhm.
anymore. So it's kind of brushed over. They'll if she fights another Mexican fighter, then they'll bring it back up. But I don't think it'll tarnish her brand. And I think if this happens again and she does fight another Mexican fighter, he kind of knows that he has to be on his P's and Q's, so he'll do that. So I don't think it challenges her brand because we move on to the next thing like candy is
Mhm.
whatever the next gossip is, we're on it. Like everybody online right now is eating up the Oscar Valdez candy, and they really are not
And
talking
we're
about
gonna
Amanda
get to
anymore. They
that. We're gonna
really
get
are.
to that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Angel,
So
is
yeah,
this gonna
that.
tarnish her brand? I mean, what do you think? Has
No, I
she
don't think
lost
so.
supporters?
I don't think so. I hope not. Maybe wishful thinking. I hope not. It could, and so and like Esmeralda said, in some let's say some different parts of what used to be her fan base, maybe like traditional Mexican folks don't want to support her anymore because of what the trainer said. I don't know. I hope not. But in the ring, that I don't think that has anything to do. But in the buildup of whatever could happen next, then I think we're living in a. I don't want to. I mean, it was a. I wouldn't have said anything that he said. Honestly, not even the less harmful thing he said. I wouldn't. That's not my style. But he's loud. He's that kind of guy. I don't know. I don't know.
Do
But
you know? Do you know if he runs her social media account on Twitter?
He
I wanted to
does.
ask you
Yeah,
that.
it's been said that he does.
Yeah,
I've heard.
because I just want to add to this
Okay.
because she'll post something like, "Oh, I only tweet out of my computer, but it says iPhone." I don't know if she knows that, but it tells you where
I
it's
think
from.
it's him. I think when he said
Yeah.
that, it's him tweeting from her account on his
Yeah,
iPhone. That's why I asked.
yeah.
Last time I heard, they had this guy Fernando Gastambide, who is their PR guy. So I think he's the guy that runs all of the social media, email appearances. That's last I heard.
Okay. So G Funky, is this gonna put a black eye to per se on who she is and what she's done?
Oh man, I honestly I hope not, but I think Esmeralda hit a good point about the culture and the time we live in, with everybody being so sensitive about things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was just me, but I mean, I was raised not to be emotional, especially when it comes to just words. That's just the way that I was raised. I know not everybody's raised that way, but I'm just telling you, this is the way I was raised. Like, somebody says some things like that to me, like I was like, whatever, so don't put your hands on me and then we're good, But
Right.
for me, it did rub me the wrong way that allegedly it took place after they were out of the ring and that she was being put into the ambulance. Like at that point, like if I was there, I'd be like, come on, man, like what are we doing here? Like that's not cool, man. Like, let's just drop it. You won. Like, there's no need to keep going this far. And like I said, I was raised to protect women, so I look at things a little bit differently than a lot of people. But as far as me, I'm going to continue to keep my eyes on her because she's one of the best female boxers in the game right now. And while this will probably leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, for me, I'm going to continue to watch because I want to see her. And that Katie Taylor fight, oh my gosh, I hope they make that because that would be a huge fight,
Mm-hmm.
So I hope not, but you just never know with today's day and age,
And soon, because Katie is getting older. She's fighting Han, which I remember way back in the day. Like, I don't think she's
El
fought.
Paso, stand up. That's right.
I remember Han, and she had brothers too. And I mean, but it was just like way back in the day. And now she's like, I don't know what happened. I guess somebody called her out of retirement. But so I mean, but Katie does deserve a tune-up. but I think she's coming to the end, where she's getting older. So Remy said, yeah, I can't support her anymore. She stands by her coach, like she said on Twitter. And we just said, well, we think that possibly her coach is the one that controls that. But then Angel said there was another guy that was doing that previous. And so maybe it wasn't her. And I do remember.
And that's her brother-in-law. That is her brother-in-law as well. So it's not like she's really gonna go against.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's her sister's husband. So it's like not really gonna go against that.
No, we talked about this so many times. These boxers have these yes men around them, and there needs to be somebody to say, hey, you're wrong. Like, if you're wrong, you're wrong. Like, make an apology. And that's my next question. G Funky, do you think that he needs to apologize publicly for some of the things that he said, or should he just go on about his business and say, this is boxing and it is what it is?
Oh, this is tough, because if it was men, like I said, I probably wouldn't say it. But because, again, a woman was involved, I think he should at least say something. But if he doesn't, like, I'm not going to crucify him. I know this is a tough business. They call it the hurt business, So, that's a really tough question to answer. There's a possibility he might, because of like we said, the cancel culture that we got going on. But we'll see what he does. Like I said, I'm not gonna crucify him if he doesn't. Like I understand.
Angel, should he apologize?
He has to say something, whatever it is. He should say something.
She asked, should he apologize? Yes or
Sure.
no?
Sure. Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
he should.
Okay. Nika, should he apologize?
Yes, he should. Because let me tell you, if it was the other way around, he would be throwing the biggest hissy fit on the face of the earth. He would want all types of apologies and be, come on. So yeah, he needs to apologize. That's just, you fucked up, and apologize. That's it, and move on. I guarantee you, if they were saying some shit like that about Amanda, he would be raising hell. So, and he would want an apology, or he'd be wanting to beat somebody's ass. He needs to apologize.
Okay. Dstyles, does he need to apologize? Why or why not?
If he wanted to apologize, he would have done it by now. I don't need a fake apology. Just as that. Someone who apologizes because they were made to apologize, it's like, why even do it? I think that's worse than like not apologizing.
Good point.
Yeah. That's just how I feel about it. Like, someone who wants to apologize does it immediately. Like, if you want him to be sorry, fine him. The commission should fine him, give the money to Mercado, then he'll be sorry.
I feel like it's that when you don't apologize, you're making it okay for people to keep doing shit like that, Like, nothing's gonna happen, so people are gonna keep doing this shit like that. Like, it's crazy.
Like, have you seen those cringe videos when athletes are reading out of a piece of paper that someone wrote for them and how sorry they are? Like, it's so cringy and it's so fake, and I just don't need that from him.
No, I know, but I feel like he should want to apologize though, because he needs to put himself in those shoes. If somebody said it to Amanda, he would want somebody to rectify the situation, So I feel like if nothing's done, then this is like co-signing people to keep doing stuff like that, and that ain't gonna be all right. I guarantee if this happened to Amanda, this happened to Amanda, he would be on her Twitter account cursing everybody out. Like,
From the iPhone?
Something was all right. Yeah,
on the iPhone saying, like, I'm the HP computer. Like, okay. Look, here's the thing. Just one last thing about this. Look, at the end of the day, like, I get that he should want to apologize, but if he doesn't want to apologize, making him apologize that's just a fake apology. And I don't need that. Like, I don't think Mercado needs that. And one more thing, she did talk about this, and I don't think a lot of us thought about this. So the fight was in Ohio. And one of the reasons he was able to say as much as he did was because the commissioner didn't speak Spanish. So they don't even know what the hell he was saying. You know what I mean? So that's one of the explanations she was given. So they did file some complaint or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to fine him. I have no idea how that works. But if you want him to be sorry, fine him, give the money to Mercado,
Right.
he'll be sorry.
Oh, he'll be real sorry then.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
as far as the Ohio, I mean, he screams just like that in Puerto Rico, Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania. He'll scream, and that's
so
that's
does that
you know,
make it okay though? But does
no,
that
that
make it
does
okay?
not
Because like
make
he
it
always
okay.
does it, so
Mm-hmm. No, but
like
I'm
that drunk uncle
yeah,
that
yeah.
comes to the party all the time talking shit. It's like he always does it. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I mean, okay, let's make this comparison. I understand that I don't like it either, but let's make this comparison. What is the difference between all the outrageous smack that Angel Garcia has said and Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when he was
Right.
saying Pakistanis can't fight, you're gonna come and get on your
Right. It's
magic
not
carpet
good.
to Mir Khan.
Okay, so the problem here is that it's in women's boxing. In public perception,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I remember
don't-
just 2 years ago, Floyd wouldn't even let Amanda and her opponent face off because we're not gonna
That
have
is
women do that. Remember that?
ridiculous. Yeah, let them fight in the fucking stage. Who cares? At the end of the day, fight. If the girls want to sell the fight that way or face off like in an intense way, you shouldn't step in between them saying, "Oh, that's not classy enough." That was a dope move coming from a certain guy with a certain background too. But
Right.
at the end of the day, there have been outrageous coaches in the past.
Oh yes.
This is the first loud, let's say loud, annoying female boxer coach. So what are we doing here? Are we saying that because they're girls, they can't have an annoying coach that says outrageous things?
This
Is
guy
that the
says,
public
yeah,
perception?
It's women's boxing. Treat women with respect. You know what? This is the thing we talked about before you got on. Yes, we want equal opportunities, but we are different. We're built different.
Mhm.
We can give birth, but we can't implant a child into somebody. Do we work hard in what we do to our capacity? Do we fight hard to our capacity? What we can do? Yes. We're the same, but we're different. And there's no denying that. Like, I'll admit that. There's no denying that. So there are some different rules. A 6 foot plus man, and then I'm gonna get back to you, Esmeralda. I'm sorry, you're next, but 6 foot man following this girl to the ambulance, allegedly talking smack to her. Would he have done that to men that are equal in stature and so on and so forth? Or because she was a woman, did he feel that he could do that? There's so many variables to this. To me, that's just, I don't know. I'm old school.
I agree.
That's happened to me. That's happened to me, and that's why I'm just like, where I've had a man come to me and talk mess to me because my fighter beat his fighter. But previously, all my 8 sons and my boxers and my husband was right there. But he waited till they were all gone. Then he came to me. So it's like, that's just not right. It's
I agree.
Not. Would he have done that if it wasn't a woman? But
The optics aren't good. Right.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Did he say? Did you ask him that, Angel?
What?
Did you ask him if he was saying stuff to her while she was going into the ambulance and stuff?
I did ask him, and the whole team says no. And I confirmed with other people like channels like Cubano Boxing and Gino Boxing, people that I know that were there, and they saw her being loaded into the ambulance, and there was nobody around her but her team.
Could she have confused when she was put on the stretcher at first to like being on the ambulance? I don't know, but
So when she was in the locker room after the fight, she's sitting down. They're doing what they're supposed to after the fight, and paramedics looked at her and said, "Okay, you got. I think it swelled a little bit more even after the fight. Her cheek did that wound." And they said, "You know what? Just to be safe, we're gonna have to take you to the hospital just so we can check that out and make sure that you're good to go." So during that walk, it started in the locker room. So you obviously leave your locker room. I don't know if Serrano's locker is across, it's on the other side, where it's at. But her from leaving that locker room with her team and the paramedics, because they're like, okay, let's get you. We're gonna get you on the stretcher. We're gonna put you in the ambulance. That's where it happened. So whether he walked with her from inside the locker room, out towards the ambulance, we don't know. I mean, I don't think it was. He walked all the way out to the ambulance just to see her. It had to have started like in the locker room.
Well, that's how I envisioned it in my head, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's why I was picturing him like literally like right outside of the ambulance.
Outside
like,
of the ambulance door.
yeah, and I'm
we
like,
beat
man,
your
like,
ass.
it's crazy.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah, but obviously
Yeah.
it was
Apparently that
whatever.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Esmeralda, is this gonna hurt her brand? I mean, what is this gonna do? I mean,
Well, I think
we
I answered
absolutely
that.
know that we know people that are no longer going to support her, even though they're women and support women's boxing, but because of the antics of her coach and her not speaking up and saying, "Hey, dude, you're wrong. Like, I don't feel that way." But is this going to hurt her brand?
I think I answered that right. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I think you did.
Oh, okay. My answer was for his apology, and I agree
Yeah, the
with
apology.
D-Style.
Mm.
I agree with D-Style. I don't want a fake apology, obviously, especially today that the complaint from 2M Promotions and Zanfer came out. The complaint they have against him. So we don't know what's gonna happen. But for me, the apology should have been as soon as the fight was over the next day. Why? Because you have Jeanette Zapata that's currently in a coma because she got punched and because there was issues from her fight. So you have Mercado, who has trained near Zapata, who, they are both from Mexico. She's already got that mind where, like, fuck, like, I could get injured. I could get hurt. Serrano could come out hurt, I think both women already knew about the story, and it was a thought process for them, I would assume. And I think he needs to apologize because the boxing community is already going through so much from her also being a female. I don't know if it's one of the most serious cases we've seen in a female boxing match. And for him to just be so focused on the anger, the hatred, the whole ambiance was just, he was being an asshole, and he needs to apologize and be like, you know what, I'm sorry. If he loves and respects Amanda that much, bite your tongue and apologize, because that's Amanda's brand, not Jordan's brand. It's Amanda's brand.
I agree with that.
And then for you, if he did apologize, would that be okay? Would it be like, just, what? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go ahead and give this whole team another chance.
I'm not a fan anymore, regardless. I mean, I'm Mexican. Once that ship sails,
Right.
it sails. I'm not there.
Right.
Like I said, I will watch her fight. She's great to watch. Will I ever buy her merchandise? Will I ever wear anything that says Serrano? No, never. But I also won't go out and disrespect any Puerto Rican or, be at a fight maybe where she's at and just have
Right.
that anger there, because at this point, I just don't care for her anymore. So for me, it doesn't change my mind. I think the
Right.
apology just needs to be towards women's boxing, is where, and all the women fans, all the women fighters, all of us women that support boxing, that's where he just needs to come correct and be like, you know what? I'm sorry I fucked up.
Absolutely. And there was a comment earlier, and I didn't get to it. There's so many, and I appreciate all the comments, and I hope we can get to most of them. That said, and that's a trait that Mexicans have. It's like if your uncle, your brother, or your sister, does something, you may not talk
Unfortunately,
to them for a couple of years. It's really hard to get over it. And,
yeah, fortunately, that's a thing in our community, and
not right,
I can just
but
say
it is what it is.
Yeah, I can just say personally for me, holding grudges, especially against family members, I had to learn a hard way about that, very hard way. And I told myself after that I would never do that to anybody, especially someone who's, in my life personally. But yeah, unfortunately, that's true. That happens a lot. I had my grandfather and his oldest son had a thing going on. I didn't even meet him until I was like 17 years old when my grandmother passed away. Then he decided to come back. Like it's crazy how much of a grudge the Mexicanos can hold, But
So,
hey,
and I
Christine,
hate it.
yeah, I got to get rolling. I got to get back on the road here and
Thank you so
run some
much
errands
dropping
for the
by. I
family.
appreciate you.
I know. I wish I could stay longer. I wanted to talk about the Valdez thing, but it's cool. I'll be listening in while I'm driving, and I'll try to chime in as much as I can. But I do appreciate your time, and it was nice meeting you. You're Angel, right? That's your name?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sorry, man. I have a really bad short-term memory, but
It's all good, bro.
yeah,
Don't worry about it.
really good meeting you, man, and talking with you. And the round table tomorrow. See you guys then.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Unless you do
Christine.
something wrong to him, then it's not short term. But okay. Safe travels. We appreciate you.
So
So we have a comment that says, I do not support Serrano, not because of her coach, just because of her ducking nature. Fight the damn best and stop running. Okay, so I'm just wondering, like, Taylor, yeah, and Pearson. Okay, is it Pearson? I can't.
Pursuing.
Pursuing. Okay.
I'll be honest.
Pursue.
Please do.
Look, I don't know enough about like. Look, I'm guilty. I've only started following women's boxing like a year and a half ago, right? So,
How dare you?
You.
yeah, I was one of those, but I came around, right? So I'm not the dude to be like, oh, Serrano, she didn't take this fight and that fight. I have no idea, right? I hear some people say that. I interviewed a fighter that actually said she ducks a lot of fights, but then I hear other female fighters says she's like one of the best. So it's what I do know is that when I watch her fight, she passes the eye test with flying colors. She's a really good fighter.
Right.
That I do know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to read some of the comments. So Centano Media says, I disagree. He could come to his senses and be sincere about it and apologize, especially if someone that he looks up to brings him around to see the light. And I can see that too. Sometimes we do something that's really stupid, and there's somebody that loves us or that we really trust and love. They say, hey, you're wrong. We don't have those.
I think he's just a hothead. I think he's a hothead and he's gonna probably do it again. And he speaks on impulse, probably like I do sometimes. Well, like all the time. So I'm half Puerto Rican too. So I just feel like that's in his nature. He just pops off, and that's just what it is. So it's gonna happen again. But
Remy,
maybe he doesn't. He needs to just be the silent partner. Just don't give him the mic. Just stay away.
Well, and that's the next. I just wanted to touch on this a little bit. Like, how many trainers do we know of, trainers / coaches, whatever, that do more talking than their fighter? It's like they want the limelight. It's like I've seen so many that do that. I mean, and I think.
Well, another Puerto Rican boxer that does that as well is Danny Garcia's father. He's Puerto Rican.
Or the dads.
Angel is out of his mind.
Yes,
Angel's another level, though. I will say.
Angel Garcia is out of his mind.
Yeah.
No, he's totally in a whole different realm. But so we're all just gonna agree that it may or may not hurt the brand. For some, it will. She is a great fighter. We cannot deny that. But also the company that we keep sometimes define us, in other people's minds and in many people's minds. So, but then again, it's like we talk about she not having control over social media or having a phone, and we think, I think, I'm not going to say we, I think, how controlling is her coach? Does she control every aspect of her life? Is she able to speak up and say, hey, you're out of line? I think that you need to think about what you're saying before you say it. It's different. And I don't know what y'all's thoughts are about that if you really think about it. Angel, do you think that it's odd that she doesn't allegedly have control of her social media or have a phone or a life, and that her coach / manager / brother-in-law seems to be controlling every aspect of her boxing career? Is that abnormal to you, or do you think that's just what it is? It's just boxing.
Yeah, from the outside, it does not look cool. I've talked to her freely through on the phone, but without asking anybody's permission. But if there's only if he's the only one controlling the whole thing, like many people think. Like I said, I'm of the thought that it's the PR guy. I don't know. That's what I think, because I've talked to that guy, and he seems to be the one with all the passwords and all the Instagram accounts and whatever. But if it's not, then that doesn't look good.
Yeah. And then Centennial Media, yes, to answer your question, yes, he's married to Cindy, her sister. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Nika, the outside looking in, what does it look like to you?
I
And
feel
this
like,
is all our own opinions.
so if this is true that she doesn't have a phone and that, he runs the social media and all that stuff, I can look at it too.
Uh-oh.
She's frozen.
Like, hey, she's dedicated to her craft. My internet is really
You're back. You're
sorry,
back.
guys.
You're back.
You're back. You're good.
Yeah, start over though,
Okay.
because you
All
cut
right,
off for a little
sorry.
bit.
Okay, sorry. So I can look at it two ways. Like, she could be so into her craft that she doesn't want anything to do with social media, that she gives him the reins to run her social media. She doesn't want anything to do with it because, not for nothing, social media will like drive you crazy. Like, I don't even know why I'm still on it. Like, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it does, from the outside looking in, it does look controlling. So when he does stuff that's out the norm, there's nothing she could really do because she's not stopping anything else that he's doing. So it's, and he's gotten her this far in her career, so she doesn't question what he's doing,
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so.
Dstyles, what do you think about that from the outside looking in? I mean, does it look like somebody's totally holding the puppet string, or?
It's not as strange as we might think for PR people to control like celebrity athlete accounts. So that's so, it does get, like, believe me, I know, because I have a podcast. So remembering to tweet shit out and all that, it could, like, you could lose timing. And so you need somebody to do that for you. However, I do think it's bizarre that, look, I'm sorry, but I don't know why you're telling people you're doing it from your laptop when it says iPhone, for example. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm trying to figure that one out. Also, I get that social media can be distracting and all that, but I don't know of another fighter or athlete that doesn't own a cell phone. Or like I stay away from it completely. I do find that bizarre. It doesn't mean it's wrong, or like, if it's your choice to do it, that's perfectly fine. But I do find it bizarre that she, like, what's going to happen if she owns a cell phone? Like, is she going to stop training? Like, she's going to be taking selfies all day? It's going to be like arguing with trolls on Twitter all day or something? Like, she's not going to show up to the gym? Like, is that what's going to happen? Like, because then, I just don't get it. I'm going to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I don't get it. Plus, you could just don't install the apps, like or whatever. Like, I just don't get why she doesn't own a cell phone. Because let me tell you something. The one bringing in the bread is her. She's the one bringing in the bread. She's the one bringing in the money. Right. So what do you mean she can't own a cell phone? Like, you know what I mean? And and I don't want to touch too much into it, because at the end of the day, it's her personal life. And when it comes to boxers and fighters, I try to only focus on what they do in the ring. You know what I mean? And that's my main focus. But since you asked, I do find it bizarre that she doesn't own a cell phone. Like, it's not wrong, but just bizarre.
And I'm gonna get to you, Esmeralda, but we have somebody in the chat, and I'm not even gonna touch this. And he said it's like a poly relationship. So I'm not touching that. Somebody else said it. I didn't say that.
Throwing that's some allegations out there. I'm not even gonna touch that.
I'm not either. Esmeralda, do you think that it is unusual if allegedly it's true that she has no control over cell phones, social media, so on and so forth?
Well, I think it's either way. I think for everyone looking at, it looks controlling. If it's like Angel says, her PR guy, I think he needs to be fired. I mean, your job as a PR is you protect your fighter, you build their brand, you protect their brand. Amanda is doing what little girls wish to do one day. She's doing something in women's boxing and for the sport, for women in combat sports, period. And if he can't tell her as her PR, like, hey, coach has to chill, or it has to come from you. If he
Right.
can't protect her brand, because not only is it her brand, but like I said, it's women's boxing. It's you have the commentators, journalists, you have all the
She's
little
the
girls that
face
are
of
looking at
one of
her.
the faces of
Yeah,
women's
if he can't
boxing.
protect
Absolutely.
that and guide her and put her on the path, like, hey, you're a role model. Hey, this is how far we can take it. This is how far our brand can go and how long it's going
Right.
to last. Then he needs to be
Right.
fired, because it's just
Right. I
it's
got you.
control and it's wrong in all aspects.
I agree. Remy in the chat said, Christine, he should have apologized if he really is controlling her web and her phone.
I
Everyone
see another
dancing.
comment that I want to read out.
What is it? Okay, what is it? Let's go.
It says Rachel Chigozi. She says, I watched a joint interview and he answered most of the questions. Anytime Amanda spoke, he interrupted her and her whole demeanor shrank. An unusual amount of control for a brother-in-law, is what she said.
I will say this, Christine, and very rarely have I ever interviewed a male boxer where their trainer or manager has to be sitting right next to them. I see that more with women fighters than I do with male boxers.
But again, this goes back to your PR. You're setting the example for women. You're changing the sport of women, and it's a combat sport. How tough do you look when you're having someone speak for you who's a male? It just contradicts a lot of things. And if he's speaking for her because he's controlling everything, she can't be that woman, that is like at the top, that's just like so fearless and has her own mind and so powerful, because he's there controlling it and everybody sees it.
I will say that I've had both situations. I've had Amanda on the show by herself. Nobody, no Jordan, no Cindy, no nothing. And I've had them together at the same time. So sometimes it depends on who's asking, like what media, I guess, if they request both. I don't know how it works.
Maybe he felt comfortable with you because you're Puerto Rican, right?
I don't know.
Maybe. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna kind of like change the mood a little bit. And I'm totally in no way saying this is the situation. Like, I mean, I'm totally speaking for myself. And I've talked about this a couple of times, but I can recognize a woman that has been maybe mistreated and sexually, mentally, emotionally. Everything's been taken away from her, and there's a man behind there that's kind of like, holding the puppet strings per se. I'm not saying this is the situation, but I know I have seen those situations. And yes, it does, like Esmeralda said, it totally contradicts what we're trying to do with women boxing and women's shows, women's podcasts, women's everything, when we don't have a voice. She has a voice. I want to hear her voice. I want to know what she has to say about her coach, her manager / brother-in-law. Does she agree with what he said? Does she think he was out of line? Is this how she wants to be viewed and represented? I want to hear what she has to say, and I haven't heard anything. And if someone said they saw something on Twitter, well, was that her or was that her coach? So I want to know what she has to say about this. I really do. I'm very curious. But moving on, there is so much.
She's like, I'm gonna change the mood, and the mood got more.
Let's change the mood, because there is so much going on. I mean, this week has been crazy. So I personally had planned on going to Arizona for the Oscar Valdez fight. What's going to happen with that? What's going on, Esmeralda? What say you?
I don't know. I think I got
one of our Mexican brothers.
You know what? It was just a huge disappointment. I mean, it's kind of somewhat to be expected from the camp in some ways, but it was just disappointing. And it's one of those things that kind of just punches your heart. Like this is why you love boxing, then this is why you hate boxing. And
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, more than anything, I'm just disappointed because I wanted to see him fight. I wanted to see the fight happen. Period.
So this is my question. So this is the third boxer in this camp, Eddie Reynosa stable, that has tested dirty. What is it? Does he know? Does he not know? What's going on in your opinion?
If
So
who knows, Eddie or
who are the three fighters though? Canelo, Valdez, Wells.
So it was Oscar and it was Canelo, and there was a third.
Was
Hold
there a
on.
third, or is it alleged a third? Like I know there's been rumors about
You're right.
Ryan,
You know
but
what? Okay. You're right. They were rumors. So, so the ones that have actually tested dirty are Canelo and Valdez. So you're right. There's been two. So
Okay.
what's going on over there? What do you think's going on?
look, at the end of the day, the results are the results, right? I can't like. There's nothing I could be. Like, I'm not gonna be here capping for a dude if he tested positive for some.
Right.
And from my understanding, they say it's a diuretic, but they're saying it could also be a stimulant and it could mask. It could be like a masking agent.
Mhm.
Now, I don't like to say that, even though like I kind of have to say it if that's the case. I don't like to say it because it's almost like you're accusing him of taking other stuff, even though they didn't catch the other stuff. You know what I mean? So we can't say definitively. It's totally possible he could have just been taking a diuretic to cut weight, which you shouldn't be doing, by the way. But that's totally possible,
Right.
right?
Illegal's illegal, right? Illegal's illegal.
Exactly. And
Regardless.
now I want to take back my Burchell prediction. You know what I mean? No, I'm just doing, but it does. It is like, look, rules are rules. I know people are. There's a debate out there of like, well, how much did it really help them? Does it really make a difference? Look, when you sign those forms, you agree. You can't take those banned substances, and that's it. And it ends there with me. You got caught with it.
You get a list of the things that you can
Yeah.
and cannot take. And if you have a
Yeah.
question, there's a number, and I know because that's what we use at USA Boxing and with the pros that I've worked with. There's a number. If you have any question about whatever you're going to take, vitamins, aspirin, whatever, you call the number and you find out, is this legal? Is this not legal? It's no secret. There's no secrets.
So
Yeah.
I don't
just,
think
Michael, what do you think?
I don't think that he didn't know what he was taking. And I don't think it was a tea. I feel like he knew what he was doing, and
No.
these excuses are already in place in case your test comes back dirty. I heard from some people that he blew up in weight, during time off partying and drinking. So he went up to like 165. So he had a lot of weight to lose. But anything that you use to an advantage that on the ban list, you're cheating. So you got caught. But I don't think the fight's gonna get canceled because I already see Top Rank and Bob Arum already like campaign for him, saying, "Oh, it was a T." Like
He took a
every
T.
boxer, it wasn't no T. Like it was not a T. I'm sorry. Like
That's
every
so
boxer in
random,
training
dude.
camp, they know what they're putting in their body. They know what.
Hold on.
In their body,
Herbal tea. It's a herbal tea.
Herbal tea.
And they didn't. That was just an excuse.
Sorry,
there was no tea.
Herbalife.
That was
Herbalife.
yeah.
Herbalife
It was
gets
not
thrown
no
under the
tea.
bus.
He was trying to cut weight, and then from the name of the penifrine, however you say it helps you cut weight, but it gives you stamina still to work out.
It's
And
a short name,
so
Fin.
yeah. So he knew what he was doing, and he just probably thinks he wasn't gonna get caught because they were probably taking it in small doses, and they already had an excuse to if he got caught. So he was cheating when he got caught, and that's it.
Yeah, there's no excuse. I mean, there's no excuse for him not cutting the weight. He has the money for the nutritionist. Their camp has the money for, everything's there for them.
Right.
Whether you gain the weight or not.
There's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Discipline.
And I believe the trainer knew what
Anything.
he was doing. The trainers know what the fighters are doing. Because the fighters are not doing that on their own. Like they get this stuff from somewhere. They ask questions. What is it going to do to my body? They know. The trainers know what the boxers are intaking like that. If they're taking something illegal.
Trust their trainers. I'm just going to say that.
Next, we're going to see an ad for a tea, and he's sponsored.
What say you about that? What say you about that?
Before I leave, I gotta go. I'm sure you guys. I'm sure. Maybe your trainer doesn't know. Wink, wink. But you know exactly where you're taking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. I'm a guy that on my show I cover all combat sports, so I see how this works in different platforms. For example, in the UFC, it's almost impossible for somebody to get to go through with this because they'll get caught by USADA. But how many boxers get tested out of camp rigorously? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
And
weird.
it's very random. Very random. It's random testing. No, we appreciate you so much for coming on the show. Please come back again. I hope we weren't hard on you. I
Yes.
think we were.
No, I love you guys. I love the show. You guys are all super talented. You guys are very necessary for the boxing community and for the whole podcasting community because you guys are talented and you're good at what you do. So keep doing it. And thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Tell
What's up, brother?
everybody where they can follow you and subscribe and all that good stuff.
Oh, El Pugilato. If you speak Spanish, then you know how to spell it. If not, it's ELPUGILATO. El Pugilato and all everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and elpugilato.com if you want a cool shirt and you want to read articles. That's it.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. You guys are super cool.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
All I gotta say is this: is that, like I said before, boxers trust their coaches, their people, their nutritionists, their everything. I mean, that's why you have them in your corner. That's why you have them in your camp. Do I think that there's not things going on with boxers? No, I'd be totally naive to think that. But everything is in cycles. If you know what you're doing, everything's done in cycles and it's hidden and nobody knows. But if you don't know what you're doing, well, sometimes you get exposed. I've seen it, I've heard it, and it's not right. I think that everybody should be on an even playing field. You know, if you're going to be doing something you're not supposed to be doing, well, tell your opponent, let them do it too. You know, everything should be fair. But I'm not for anything that's going to enhance anything. Let's just work hard and do what we got to do. You know, that's just my opinion.
And then it's still like 10 days out to the fight. And you mean to tell me that you had to take that to cut weight? Like,
Yeah.
How long has he been taking this?
And is the
I don't
fight gonna
trust it.
happen?
He knew what he was
Is the-
taking. He knew what he was
Is the
taking.
fight going to happen? Like, I mean, do we think the fight's going to happen? Esmeralda, do you think the fight's going to happen?
I don't know. I think we're in a time where certain people want others to be made examples of. And, you know, people are saying, like, do the 12 to 18 month suspension. And there's just a lot of mixed talk. And I don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, I'm hoping it does, but
It should. It should. Because
it's
look
not
at the
that
fighters
big of
that
a
are getting
deal,
hurt in there.
Dstyles, do you think it's going to happen?
I think the fight's gonna happen. Yes. Don't go buy a plane ticket and blame me if it doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is, I think it's gonna happen.
I'm waiting.
No, but because you know, it's I think whatever punishment there is will probably be afterwards. They'll probably try to talk to the opponent and he might accept it or something. Like I just think that's gonna happen. You know, people. When I was on Hellstorm Sports, and it's now a defunct website, but we broke a story of Eric Morales when he got caught with diuretic against Danny Garcia through a couple sources. Okay. And the fight still went on, even though he tested positive. Like the show went on. So Danny Garcia wasn't happy about it, but he didn't say no to the payday, right? Because he wasn't going to get paid and they canceled the fight. So, I just think it's still going to go on. I don't think they're going to really do it. Like, he'll get suspended, but what's a 6-month suspension after you fight? These fighters only fight twice a year anyway, right? So, when you're suspended, there's no, they don't, check up on you, make sure you're not training and you're banned from gyms or something. Like, he could still go train, and I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to suspend him after the fight.
Okay. Jamal Herring said, all jokes aside, I don't want to put anything in my body that's going to jeopardize my health down the road. It's not worth it. I totally agree. You
Hey,
know,
did we ever get the name of the herbal tea, by the way? Because I know Aaron was like, it was a
I
herbal tea. You know,
no,
I
but
think
what
that
is it?
I think the fight is still gonna happen, and I don't think it should. I think that he should be suspended because there's too many boxers that are getting hurt in these fights for anybody to, or any of these boxers to be taking any illegal substances that are banned in the sport. You know, too many boxers are getting hurt, and you doing shady shit. Then you need to pay for it. Like, sorry, the fight
yeah,
shouldn't happen, but I think it will, and he need to get suspended. End of story. And you could drink all the tea you want while you're on suspension.
yeah,
So,
that's true.
you know.
You know, Elda Boxing said WBC was real quick to strip Benavides for the nose candy, but the banned substance is not. You know, and Jamal Herring said, yeah, he agrees. Um,
I don't think that
so
was the WBC though. That was another sanctioning body. But
was
I
it?
mean, I get the
I
point.
mean, I don't know. Honestly, I
The
can't remember.
WBC was that he didn't make weight. That's he got stripped of that belt because of that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about who stripped who or anything, but you know, before we wrap it up, we definitely have to talk about Jeanette Zapata, um, the 18-year-old that is currently still in a coma in Canada. You know, I just feel for her and her family and her coaches. You know, I was looking at her record, 4 losses, KO 3 times, 2 wins, and it just makes you wonder, you know, who is looking after her. And I think this is a bigger problem than we know in boxing. Esmeralda, what do you have to say about the situation of the poor girl?
It's extremely sad. She actually debuted at 15, which is also not good because here in Mexico, you debut at 16. So a lot of the fighters from America come, they debut at 16. And even here, you know, you debut at 16, but it's still even a little odd unless her paperwork was rigged or something happened. But she actually did her pro debut at 15 years old, which no kid, I mean, you're still a kid fighting a grown person. Um, I think it's horrible decision on her dad and her coach's part. Her boyfriend was actually a part of that fight. And he also was part of the problem to where, you know, prior to her knockout from, I think it was in May, she had a 60-day suspension. So Mexico actually suspended her license and didn't allow her to fight for 60 days. But throughout that time, she was getting her checkups, her MRIs, all those things. And so for this fight, she was offered, or her team was offered the fight, and they went ahead because the doctor said, "Oh, I don't see any physical trauma in her X-rays, so I'm going to allow her to go, you know, to Canada and fight." But the trauma isn't always visible. You know, there's the mental
No.
part, there's the emotional part, there's things that can trigger it, obviously, and the doctor needs his medical license also removed. And I think that's what they're investigating as well. Is they're starting off with the doctor first, and then I think as she gets better, hopefully it'll start getting resolved, and they'll start taking, you know, all those people down that were a part of that.
Jamal said it makes you hate the sport. They were using her
Mm-hmm.
as a punching bag, you know, pretty much is what he was saying, and it that's pretty much what it was. And you know, this is part of this sport that we love hate. You know, it does happen, and it's tragic. But that's when you want to know that the people around you are not yes men, that they're like, no, you don't need to do this, or yes, you do, that they're really caring about you and taking care of you. And it just didn't seem like it happened this time around. Nika, what do you say about the situation?
Well, I hope she fully recovers. Because there's just too many losses in the sport for like things that could be avoided uh very easily. That they're so quick to sacrifice these boxers for a quick buck. They don't think about the long-term effects that some of these fighters will have to deal with. Even if she, you know, even if they come out okay, like at the end of the fight and don't end up in the hospital, there's some long-term effects that a lot of these boxers get from these fights that they don't need to be in. I don't know who her handlers are, but they obviously did not have her best interests at heart. They looked like they were all about the buck. I hope she recovers and can speak about it and why this fight was taken and why they took it. Speaking from her own mouth, not from her team.
Right.
It's crazy. I feel like these things could be prevented, and it's so crazy that we get in these situations. I hope it's not another like rest in peace case. It's just like these
Yeah.
things could so easily be avoided. Like every dollar is not like quick money, ain't always
Not
good
worth it.
money.
All money's
Yeah,
not good money. That's true.
yeah, like
True.
But you know what? I hope she doesn't go back to boxing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys are familiar with Diana Prazak, but maybe about 11, 12 years ago, she's under Lucia Riker. Like Lucia Riker is one of her trainers, and she suffered a traumatic brain injury, and it took her about 8, 9 years to recover. And she recently fought again. She's fought twice in the last year, and I'm like, are you kidding? Like you just had that. And she seems, you can just tell, like she's not all there. Like
that's horrible.
She's not as quick and anything. So I hope hopefully she comes out of it and it's like, okay, I won't box again.
I hate to hear that. I really do. Dstyles, what do you say about the situation?
I mean, all I could say it's tragic, and unfortunately, this is I don't want to say preventable because almost nothing's preventable in boxing, but we can drastically reduce the numbers of deaths in boxing. While like a lot of people think most deaths happen from big knockouts, and that's actually your body shutting down. Is probably the best thing that could happen to you sometimes. It's actually the prolonged beatings that kill people. Those are the ones that kill people. The constant taking punches. That's why there was always an argument against headgear in the Olympics. Olympic style boxing, because it just allows you to take more punishment. When someone punches you, the brain inside rattles. That's what happens, right? So the more that happens, the more likely you're to sustain head trauma and things like that. Mismatches and dehydration, which is why diuretics are very dangerous, okay, are the main causes of death in boxing. Not big knockout. That's why you don't hear about that many deaths. It happens, but you don't hear about it. You would think, like, man, well, heavyweights hit a lot harder, right? So there's going to be more deaths. No, it happens in the lower weight classes.
Punches, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So we just need to just learn from it. Obviously, I don't want to question the commission, but I have to. Like, how did this fight happen? This is in Canada now. This is not some third world country or something like that. I think they should have had their shit together. To be honest, I know that they're not big in boxing. I guess in Canada, I'm not that educated about the Canadian area there, outside of Montreal and stuff like that. But all I will say is that we need to prevent this. I haven't seen the fight, so I can't say about. I don't know. Was there footage of it or anything like that?
There is. It was posted. It was, it says adult sensitive, and you can see her in the corner, just like something's wrong, or just kind of hunched, and shortly after, like you see her body just convulsing, like her body just starts to shut off.
Convulsing.
You see, because my only question would be: was there a sign during the fight that the ref could have stopped it earlier, or something? Because sometimes that's the thing.
It's tricky because it came right after, maybe, let me see, it was like about maybe a 3 or 4 shot combo that landed on her. And then that's when the referee jumped in, and that's when he looked at her, and she's like, he's holding her. And then her coach ran to hold her up, and then she started convulsing.
Yes.
Crazy.
It's one of the ugly sides of boxing. It was very, very hard to,
it's like
to watch.
Some of these teams, they gotta give tough love. If this sport ain't for you, they gotta say, hey, you know what, you're gonna get hurt in this is not for you. Maybe you could do something here and there. Like, this ain't for you. You're gonna get hurt. Like,
I agree.
So I'm pretty sure people would appreciate that than having to go through these traumatic cases. Like, I'd rather somebody tell me, like, hey, Micah, like, this ain't for you. Like, I'm trying to
Right.
save your life. This
And
ain't for
it's life or
you.
death.
Do
It's
something else.
not tennis
Yeah.
or whatever. It's life or death. This is serious.
I,
So
I mean, look, if 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 I play against Michael Jordan in a game of 1-on-1, he's gonna dunk it on me and he's gonna embarrass me, right? But he's not gonna hurt me. Like I'm not gonna
right,
be physically damaged. Like
right.
my ego, but whatever. But in boxing, like you just don't. It's like a cliche, but it's true. You don't play boxing. You know what I mean? Like you
Absolutely.
don't settle beefs with boxing. You don't do none of that dumb shit. It's a sport for professionals. That's what
Absolutely.
boxing is. And this is why, like, I get Jake Paul annoys a lot of people because he annoys me too. But when people are like, "Oh, put him in there with a real boxer," I don't think we really want that. I get people want to see him get his ass whooped, but this could happen because he ain't ready for a real boxer. They're gonna hurt him. They're gonna hurt
Right.
this dude, and he could end
Right.
up in a hospital, and that won't be good for boxing. Hey, some
And we
YouTuber,
don't
this
want to see him
commission.
die. I mean, do we really want to see him die? No, we don't really want to see him die. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it could happen, and it's no joke. You know.
Well,
True.
we've all seen what's Pritchard Colon, the Puerto Rican fighter.
Yes.
I mean, the support for
Grabbing
him keeps
punches.
coming and coming, and to have to go through that again. Hopefully, that's not the case with Jeanette. But I mean, that's just something that you just don't want to see her go down that path, even though he's progressing. But how long has it been, and what has he lost?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so true. So true. And it affects everybody, the family, the team, everything. It's very tough. But it's been a wonderful show. I want everybody to go around and tell us where we can tell the audience where we can find you on social media. And Esmeralda and I have her shirts on. So if you want to order them, I think that you can, and she can tell you about that. So Esmeralda, we can start with you.
You can find me on Instagram under Fotógrafa de la Gente, and you can find me on Twitter under Esme Ferraro. Work with Supreme Boxing, and always trying to shoot whatever I see that catches my eye.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Remy. Thank you so much, Long Live Boxing. And Dstyles, where can we find you? And you have gear too. Tell us where we can find it.
Hey, shout out to everybody who's down with HCP. Everybody, check it out. So every Tuesday, I have my podcast, HCP Podcast. You could also catch me on G Funky Boxing every Monday for HCP Uncensored. And of course, we have the round table every Thursday. We are alternating the round table every week. This week, it'll be on G Funky Boxing, so you guys can catch it tomorrow. Should be a good one. Also, at D-Style Boxing Twitter, at D-Style_Boxing Instagram. I'm trying to grow my Instagram, relatively new to it, but make sure you guys follow me there.
I've seen it.
That's right. Follow me. I have a shirt too, by the way. So,
Yeah.
so go to my Twitter. It's there. You guys can go ahead if you're interested in purchasing the shirt and support the show and all that. And that's all good. Shout out to Sonteo Media, by the way, putting in that work. Always at the Robert Garcia, Academy, and Long Live Boxing. Great guys as well. Shout out to you guys.
Absolutely. And
And Aldub was right, by the way. He was stripped of the WBC twice. That's crazy. Benavidez was.
He was. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the comments. But Nika, where can we find you? And do you have some shirts coming soon? Some red cup or
Yeah.
knockout?
I have to get some shirts because the shirts that Esmeralda has up there, they're so dope. So I definitely have to get some shirts. So when I do that, I'll definitely put the links and stuff. But you can find me on Twitter, at boxing_birdie81. On YouTube, you can find me at Knockouts with Nika. On Instagram, Knockouts with Nika as well.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in every Wednesday, 7:30 Central, and the rest, I think y'all can figure it out. The other time zones, sorry, guys. But I appreciate all the support. I'm sorry we didn't get to everybody's comments.
6:30 Mountain.
We truly appreciate you all. Thank you so much, and follow me on In the Room with Christine on every social media platform. Have a good night. Thanks.
So.
Bye.